Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back here with another discussion video. This is My Hero Academia Vigilantes, episode 7. So, we're going to jump straight into the episode. I personally think this was the worst episode out of all of them. I didn't care for the episode. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought they kind of just did like too much dragging out, like what was happening and like explaining the lore of the quirks and everything with that. But what were your guys' take on the episode? We'll start with Tim.
Uh, I yeah, no, I think it was the weakest episode of them all. I think the only thing that did stand out was the little lore section there. Other than that, the episode really felt more like a filler episode. Like they didn't know what to do. There was some things that was sprinkled in there, but it really felt more fillery than actual material.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy like the introduction of Makoto and like we find out who she really is, and everything like that. But Genya, what are your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. It was a quite, I wouldn't say boring episode, but it was an uneventful episode. I think obviously there was just a few little things that were quite funny in there, as well as the things that you said about the lore itself. But this is an episode that I kind of felt like, you know, if they hadn't actually done it, everybody would have been absolutely content with it. But yeah, no, it was quite cool seeing the Mako character. I think obviously, the way she kind of just swooped in on Koichi was a bit. Well, I was like, I felt bad for him because my boy was being used there. But like beyond that, really, like yeah, it was a nothing burger, if you will.
That was a pretty dope quirk that she has, though. I'll tell you that. That was a pretty dope quirk. I thought she was going like shock him or something like that. That was a pretty dope quirk, like using like the electric pulse to see if he was lying or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so speaking of the quirk, I at first was confused on the whole thing because it's like a lie detector test, and he said that he wasn't. So I at first thought that they had said crawler, right? Because that's like his actual name, but they actually said crueler.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when he said no, and that was the truth. At first, I was thinking crawler, and he said no, and that it said the truth. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But I watched a someone I'm subscribed to on YouTube. He does like reviews and stuff, and he kind of explained it. So then I understood. But like, was there any confusion for you guys with that, or did you like fully understand the quirk, Ginyu?
I think I understood the quirk itself, but I think I agreed. The moment when it actually did happen, the first thing I thought about was like, oh, how did he slip through this one, really? But then my kind of rationale, to kind of back this up was I thought because the guy seemed so calm, he wasn't really like he didn't feel under pressure. So usually, like the way the polygons work and everything is that the more you lie, your heart rate kind of goes up and gives it away. And I thought because he's always felt like he's just this cool, calm, collected as a persona itself. So I thought that's how he kind of got past it. But like I said, now that I'm happy that you kind of told me about the fact that the names, the question she asked in terms of the name is different to what he was, and hence why in all technicalities, it's not a lie. Then is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they really focused on that actually throughout the episode. I kind of picked up on it as soon as I'm not going to say as soon as she asked, but it was before he answered. I kind of picked up. Oh, he's technicality. He's not the crueler. He's the crawler, right? Like because throughout the whole episode, they just kept on saying his name wrong, name wrong. So then when she said the name, it's like, well, technically that's not who he is, so he could get away with it. And I think that clicked in his head as he was answering the question itself was that he's not the crueler, he's the crawler, but everybody gets his name wrong.
Yeah, well, we also saw like throughout the episode, Pop Step. Now she was kind of, it was pretty obvious that she was jealous of what was going on between Koichi and Makoto. I kind of raised this question a couple weeks ago. If you guys thought that this would become like a romance type of thing, has your take on that changed at all, or is it the same, Tim?
No, it's completely changed now. She's obviously got feelings for him, and it definitely stems back to the whole aspect of that he saved her. Like I think it's one of those type of things. That's a real life type of thing. A lot of times, like if somebody's life is saved, they catch feelings for them. I think it's called like the angel effect or something like that. But that's definitely what's going on. She's definitely got feelings because when Makoto came, she was like nervous, blushing, and then she ended up saying like, yeah, you could show off, but why in front of her? So obviously she's got feelings for him, and yeah, no, my opinion's completely changed on that.
All right, what about you, Ginyu?
I think I don't remember what I said, but if I did say no, then yeah, that's changed. But I'm sure I probably said yes, so meaning that I was right. Yeah, I think you know the
This
feel.
guy here, you definitely said no, man. Get the fuck out
Don't
of here.
come on, Tim. We got to keep the facade. We got to keep the facade. But like no, but in all seriousness, yeah, no, I think it's obviously evident that there are some emotional connection there, and I think as Tim said, the angel effect of obviously she saved it. No, he saved her. So obviously, there's always this weird thing where I don't know, you just feel like you owe someone. So sometimes these emotions kind of just happen. But let's see where this goes. I think I'd like to think it's gonna fizzle out at some point, but it kind of raised something interesting. It just means I kind of, as soon as that love angle kind of arose, I just kind of thought, oh yeah, someone gonna die, someone go get hurt between one of these two, something bad's gonna happen to one of these two, because there is no way that they're just gonna walk away and grow up and then be heroes and whatnot. Something happens. So yeah, when love is involved.
Yeah, I do agree with you guys. I think it kind of stemmed from like an admiration type of thing. Like, whenever he saved her, she admired him. But then now that she's older and like obviously going through puberty and different things, we start to develop feelings and different things like that. So I also think that not only her, but also Makoto kind of stemmed some feelings towards Koichi in this episode. Did you guys take that as well, Ginyu?
I don't know. I thought I was, because at first when unless I kind of misread, I thought the police guy was her guy. When she got
So
the
That was her
yeah,
brother.
oh
brother and sister.
oh
Yeah.
okay, cool. My bad. Whoops. But yeah, no. I don't think.
I mean, it's anime. It could be
Oh
romance.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I
Sister
don't.
complex is a real thing.
Listen, these things happen. But no, I think in all actuality, I think I don't know if she's gonna have if she has feelings as of yet. It just depends. If we see more of her, then maybe, but obviously then they have the whole aspect of the cougar, the whole saying, "Oh, you cougar." How much sus do you want to go with that angle there? Kind of thing. So that's could be, but I think ultimately, I think she's obviously after something for this thesis. I don't really think she's gonna want anything more with Koichi. Maybe if she sees you have a better chance of her maybe falling in love with the crawler, not the crowler, because obviously like something he's gonna save her at some point. And then you have the whole pop step feeling. So that could be something that could happen. But as of right now, I don't think she's interested in him like that.
All right, Tim, what about you?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think whatever was being shown was just her trying to manipulate the situation to get him to delve more information and everything. I think that's kind of why you've seen Knuckle Duster say like it's a bad idea to do this, because he pretty much seen through the facade of she's trying to be extra friendly towards this kid that, because she knows he's like an outcast at the school. She knows whatever this rumor that still hasn't been kind of put out there yet, but you can kind of sense what it is. Uh, he's a loner, so obviously she was working off of that, and I think it was just all a ruse to try to get him to slip up and show he's one of the vigilantes she's looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Now that you mention that, I think her interest in the vigilantes is what drew her to him to begin with, because I don't think that she would just like target out somebody random. I feel like her interest in the vigilantes, and obviously her questioning him if he was actually the crawler would pique her interest in him. But we also found out like more of the lore of the quirks and everything, and like heroes and vigilantes. So basically, um, it started off as like vigilantes at first, but then they were deemed as heroes later on. And then this is what created the difference between heroes and villains. Um, I personally thought that the whole thing was kind of just like cliche in a way. Like if you have paid attention to heroes versus villain stories, before, it's kind of the same thing. I feel like the concept is basically just like very generic, and we already know the difference between heroes and villains. But what was your guys' takeaway from this, this scene here, Tim?
Uh, so I agree to an extent that we know what heroes and villains are, like the difference between the two. But after I rewatched it just for some notes, probably like 2 or 3 times, because it's such a sort. It's a cram packed section of the episode where you get so much stuff that you really have to pay attention to what's going on. She said something very important at the end, and it's she's trying to find out what the deciding factor of what made the vigilantes either a hero or a villain. So there's that line really hasn't been put into the sand of what why only 7 out of 190 vigilantes or something like that became heroes and the rest were deemed villains. So it's what happened at that point in time that made them say this is a hero, this is a villain. Because you got to think at this point in time in the story, all this stuff took like 100 years ago. That's when it all happened. So there's obviously stuff that's lost in time, type of thing. I'm not going to say hidden, but it's just lost in time, especially when you're looking at Japan and America. Not everything's going to cross over how it should.
Yeah. What about you, Ginyu?
I don't think I can follow what Tim said because I think he's obviously nailed this one quite well because obviously there is this deciding factor that was that hasn't been quite revealed as well as that bit where Koichi she where Makoto did dangle it to Koichi and didn't get an answer to it per se. So I think there is as Tim was saying is that if only like seven to nine people are able to be deemed as heroes, what was the deciding factor? So yes, maybe it's not hidden, as Tim said, it's probably lost in time. So I think that's where we're at really. And I'm curious. I don't think. Well, I don't want to lie and say I'm curious to find out. I don't care about this episode. Just carry on, please. Just carry on, please.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was a very lackluster
yeah.
episode.
It was all right for what it was supposed to be, but no, please, I don't want another episode like that, please. Thank you very much.
I will say if you're into lore, that little section, if you wanted more lore from the MHA world, that little section really does you would be excited for that. I want more stuff from America personally from the MHA world. So seeing that like it all started over there, I thought that was kind of interesting. And I thought the link between like hey, the regulations on quirks have people thinking they're taking away the Second Amendment, they're taking away their human rights, their civil liberties, like all the like where's the balance of protection and taking rights away? Like I thought that would like that little section right there, only because it gets a little bit more into the like the social politics of everything. I thought that was interesting, but if you're not into learning more hardcore, intricate lore of the MHA world, I think this episode would be uh, like 100% of a beach episode, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that like the line between heroes and villains is could be explained as like a perspective type of thing.
Mm.
Because as we've seen from Stain, uh his perspective of good and evil, jumps back and forth. In this episode, Makoto, when she is with her brother, the detective, she kind of raises that like she is neutral in this whole thing. Like she thinks that like some people that are deemed as heroes could be evil, and some people that are deemed as villains could be good. Um, so that was my takeaway from the whole thing is that basically the reasoning for like what made like for example when you were saying like the 9 out of 190 people that were deemed as heroes, it was all a perspective type of thing in terms of like the laws that were laid and different things like that. Would you guys agree with that?
Possibly, yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I think it would all be perspective and laws. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that the 7 people that were deemed heroes were tied in with the people that made the legislation. Like big business bought them their hero license, and they pretty much monopolized on it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where it came down to was like a corporatism type of thing.
Yeah, so basically, like those heroes were like the founding fathers of the law, and like basically what decided who's a hero, who's a villain.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, pretty much. And through their resources, they just kind of manipulated it. So, they held a monopoly on the thing, and they could have gone after, whoever they wanted to. Because I'm pretty sure in any story where humans start getting like special powers, they start getting treated very poorly, right? They start being outcasts and stuff. We see it with X-Men, so it's probably like the same thing with this as well. And these seven people were probably bootlickers or something.
Yeah. All right. So I think that is going to wrap things up. Do you guys have any final predictions for next week's episode, starting with Ginyu?
um, just not this week's episode. That'll be a start. But no, but I think hopefully we get a bit more. Maybe see what B's up to. I know she was briefly in the interviews when they were making fun of Crowler. So yeah, definitely interested to see what she's up to and what kind of chaos she's gonna cause. So the others can clean it up.
All right, Tim.
I think within the next few episodes, we're going to get maybe not a pop step straight confession to Koichi, but she's going to tell Koichi, I'm the kid that you saved that day." And I think it might end up because Ginyu was bringing up somebody's going to die. I think Koichi is going to get very badly hurt, and that's what's going to trigger the borderline confession. Like, "Yo, you can't die yet. I haven't told you you saved my life." One of them type of ordeals. And then I would really like to see more interaction between Knuckle Duster and Stain.
Okay. I kind of predict that we're gonna dive more into America and like some of the heroes from there. Not sure like how many, but I think at least one that we're gonna dive into. But you guys let us know down in the comments. What are your predictions? What are your thoughts on this episode? Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and we will catch you next week.